Hi, I'm Rick Conlow. Welcome to Servant Leadership, the Future of Work. If, notice that's in red, and I'll talk to you about that in just a moment. See, not all managers have ethical values. You've probably had a few in your career. Or not all managers care about people. Their interest in it is their personal gain, their personal profit. Employees are nothing but a tool. And so we have to get beyond that. You don't want to be a part of that. There's too many bad bosses and toxic workplaces out there. You'll see this and read all the different behaviors of poor bosses, horrible bosses. And we want to get beyond that. It's destroying productivity and employee morale. And it's time for a change. I think you'd agree with that. And, we've had the Great Resignation and quit, and people are quitting, 40 million people a year for the last few years. And it's continuing. It wasn't just the pandemic that brought it on. 20 years ago, this thing began to percolate and grow. And the pandemic provided the opportunity for it to pop and go crazy. So bad bosses micromanage people. They operate out of position power. In other words, they're the boss. They know it all. They communicate poorly, unclearly, ambiguity. They tell employees what to do with little or no input, take advantage of others. They lie. They have favorites. They talk they're egotistical. They're the best at everything. And they take credit for wins, and then they blame their people for the failures, and they tend to yell and swear and scream and criticize and demean people. They offer little or no training and coaching or self-development. They manage with fear, conflict, and avoidance, and overall they lack empathy and humility. Do you recognize any of those? I'm sure you do. See, there's a broken trust in the workplace today. Now, there are some good companies out there, but there's too many of them that aren't. And we need to change that. And the antidote to all of that, I'll share with you in a moment here. But this is the state of the art of leadership today. 81% of employees would quit in a heartbeat if they had a better job offer. 82% of managers fail. Think about that. Okay? 85% of employees are disengaged. Now, if managers are failing like that, there's management disengagement too. It's the executives that are beating them down. And then, of course, what happens? Bad news, stuff flows down to the employees. 80 to 95% of customer service problems are management, executive related, not employee related, but the employees get the brunt of the criticism and the blame. All of this bad news constitutes about $22 trillion in lost profitability and opportunity in sales in an 85 trillion plus world economy. So it's huge impact. With better leadership, more effective leadership, and I say servant leadership, this can change. But we need to realize, if that question in red that I had earlier, not all managers will get into it, but managers that do, leaders that do, executives that do can gain the benefit and help their organizations succeed and help their employees succeed. Now, why are employees turned off? Here are some here. I'll just read a few of them. But the number one thing, pay is low. Number two, no opportunities for investment. And then the third one is lack of respect. And I just want to focus on those. Think about it. If they don't get pay increases, if they're not having opportunities for growth, there's a lack of respect. And then if managers are leading, like I described earlier, with all that negative noise, micromanagement and swearing and yelling and poor communication, wow, what an awful workplace. It doesn't create the best in people. It brings out the worst in them. You can do better. That's why you're here. That's why you're studying. Now, Frederick Herzberg did a study years ago, and I've just added a point to it here, which I'll share with you. But he said this is what motivates people. Notice how that contrasts what I just talked about. Achievement, recognition, the work itself. Most people have pride in what they do, or want to have pride in what they do. Responsibility, advancement, growth, and learning. And then our organization has added teamwork, camaraderie, and purpose. If you create a culture that gives this to people, they will outperform anybody else. And you'll see a result of a study that I'll share with you later. So, The antidote to employee dissatisfaction or poor productivity is servant leadership. It's needed, it's wanted more than ever before in the history of the world, and this is the time to help employees gain respect and value, to learn, to have a partnership. See, employee disengagement doesn't work because there's no partnership. It's, employees are treated like peons, expendable commodities, if you will. If we give them purpose and a career opportunity, we can destroy the Great Resignation, quit, and we do it with creating that positive workplace. That people want to come to work. They look forward to it. They don't dread it. They don't smash that alarm clock down. What they want to do is get there and get something done, to add value, to contribute. And then it builds employee retention, of course, and better results. Now, traditional leadership tends to focus on things like the tangibles, the seen things, the projects, the profit, the company, the buildings, the products. And the focus is make the executive successful, make the company money, the shareholders value. Who cares about the employees? Servant leadership's focus is about people. Notice the quick change here. It's about the intangible things, really. It's about purpose, making a difference, helping people succeed in their careers and their lives, because what happens at work affects the family. And then having a positive impact on the community, not letting toxic chemicals out in the community. What they do is clean it up before they're going to send it out there, okay? And too many companies do that. They try to hide the negative and hope nobody notices so they can save a few extra dollars. Well, not servant leaders. They do it right from the beginning. They take care of business and they realize that people have potential, the community have potential. Let's do this together. We're in it together. It's about people power. It's revolutionizing the workplace and results. Now, not everybody's catching on. Not everybody wants to catch on, okay? But those that do will get the results and make the difference and make this any given company a better company and help people feel good about what they're doing. And of course, it can help transform communities. Servant leadership is about giving, not taking. It's about the relationship, the culture. That's what culture is about, the working relationships, making it positive, uplifting, engaging. Okay? It's about doing business with ethics, honor, integrity, and character. That's what's missing out there. It's missing in business. It's missing in politics. That's what servant leadership brings, and you can learn that. You can do that if you aren't already. You can elevate your skills. Now, 7 ways to elevate your skills, and then I'll share you some of the things you need to be learning and develop on. You got to read the books out there. I've got a couple of them right here. Ken Blanchard, Servant Leadership in Action. Sipe and Frick, their book on the 7 pillars of servant leadership. Read our book on the 5 dynamics of servant leadership. Study it. Go to training classes. I have online training. Others have online training. Do it yourself. Go to a group. Don't wait for your company to provide it. Most companies aren't providing it because most companies aren't doing servant leadership. So learn it on your own. Watch the videos. I've got tons of them. There's more in-depth ones that I have online and on my blog. Others have it too. Get a coach or a mentor to help reinforce it in you, because it isn't easy to go against the grain of what most traditional leaders are doing. So you'll get some flack. But when you start getting results, they'll start leaving you alone. So you got to practice and review and rehearse. And then, of course, it's not by trial and error. None of this is, because you can learn from the best from others. And that's what I'm talking to you about, showing you the way. Here comes 10 principles of servant leadership. And you can learn these. Notice how these are different than the command and control strategies of traditional leadership. Empathy, healing, foresight, stewardship, building community. Wow. Okay? Awareness. This is what we need to study. And you can learn any of these things by looking up online, going, taking the courses, practicing it and reviewing it as I've described. There's also 7 signature traits that we believe in for servant leaderships. Integrity, doing business right. Vision, inspiration, competence, heart. It's about the heart, okay? Because it's about the heart, that's about relationships. Caring for people, loving people, if you will. Humility, being willing to admit mistakes, and leading by example. Now, We have more in-depth training on this. I just want to hit the highlights. We want to develop our skills in all these areas. And then the 5 dynamics that I mentioned earlier that we have in our book. And it's about character. How do we build character? How do we demonstrate character? How do we teach character? And then the caring attitude. I want my team to win. It isn't just about me. See, the most important rule of leadership is it's not about you. It's about the team. Help the team win, and then we win as a leader. Does it make sense? It works because people want to do well when you treat them with that kind of respect and dignity. And then communicate positively. It's the secret weapon of leaders today because so many don't communicate well. The number one thing that comes up on employee engagement surveys is we don't communicate around here. You've probably seen it if your company's done some. But many of you that watching this probably never had a company do an employee engagement survey because they don't care what employees think. Then consistency. What does that mean? We consistently do business with honor and integrity and treating people with respect. We just don't do it for the customers to see or to look nice in a videotape or a newsreel. We do it because we believe in it. And so we do it day in and day out. Does it mean we never make mistakes as a servant leader? No, but then we apologize. We admit it. We learn from it. We ask for feedback from the team. And then commitment. The commitment is the people first. See, leadership is about people. Business is about profit. Yes, we want to make money, but how do we do it? We do it through our team. They excel in their performance, the profits excel. It goes together. Research shows that. So these five dynamic behaviors are things you can learn, various steps. And I have more assessments on this. I have training on it. So do others. You want to get a breadth of learning related to this. In fact, one of the key things that the servant leader does, they keep learning, and that's built into consistency. You can't continually be consistent and effective day in on day out without continual learning. Leadership and learning are indispensable to one another. JFK said that, and I believe it. Servant leadership is a philosophy and a set of practices that enriches the lives of individuals, builds better organizations, and ultimately creates a more just and caring world. Wouldn't we like that? You look at this crazy world we live in with, the climate crisis and wars and rumors of wars and protests and people starving and poverty. My word, if we would come together and put our minds together and work with one another, we could solve these problems. Servant leadership will help with that. Jesus of Nazareth said this, whoever wants to be great among you must be a servant. Wow! And Nelson Mandela and Mother Teresa are servant leaders that are known worldwide because of their caring attitude and how they helped others. Mother Teresa investing in people that were dying that everybody else wanted to forget about. And Nelson Mandela transformed a nation torn apart by racial divide. Wow, and how he did it with grace and character. He embraced his enemies to be able to make a positive change. And a lot of times, what do we see in politics and in government? The parties are always fighting and blaming each other. Nah, he took a different approach. And that's what servant leadership does. It takes a different approach. Dr. Martin Luther King said this, may I stress the need for courageous, intelligent, and dedicated leadership. Leaders of sound integrity. Leaders not in love with publicity, but in love with justice. Leaders not in love with money, but in love with humanity. Leaders who can subject their particular egos to the greatness of the cause. Wow, wouldn't it be nice if we had more leaders like that? Now, critics say servant leaders are subservient and weak and touchy-feeling. Nah, it's far from the truth. Clarence Francis, a servant leader of the past, said this, you can buy a person's, well, he said man's, but we say person today. You can buy a person's time. You can buy a person's physical presence at a given place. You can even buy a measured number of skilled muscular motions per hour or day, but you cannot buy enthusiasm. You cannot buy initiative. You cannot buy loyalty. You cannot buy devotion of hearts. Minds and souls. You have to earn these things, and that's what servant leaders do. They walk the talk. They believe in people, and they demonstrate it by leading by example. They just don't say do this, they show you how to do this. They do it with you. They also set high standards and use the term backbone of steel. I asked a manager in a company, why do you believe in your leader? And she said, I believe in my leader because First of all, he's caring and respectful, and he is friendly and helpful, great coach, all of that, so he believes in us. Second, he has a backbone of steel. In other words, he has high standards, and he's given us all the resources and tools and support to get there, so he holds us accountable to that. He'll work with us if we fall or make mistakes, but you have to follow through. You have to make the effort. And then the other piece about earning these things is constantly consistent. As I said, a servant leader works on himself or herself, constantly learning and improving, asking the team for feedback, really listening, being humble enough when mistakes are made so they can get better. And they do it with passion and love in their hearts. Now, servant leaders get better results. You need to know that. If you put in the time and effort to become a servant leader, know that if you do that, you can get results. You can expect results. In our consulting business, as we brought servant leadership to people, they'd be struggling to improve the customer service or their employee engagement for years. And with our efforts and our support, working with them, training and coaching and planning and renewing the effort, because it's a constant renewal. It's challenging. It isn't easy. It's hard work. But hard work produces greater results. And so instead of waiting 4 years to get results, they start getting results in a few months, in 6 months, and they begin to catapult from there. Servant leaders of the third column here, notice it's the highest column than all the others, beating good to great, which is the middle column, and the Fortune 500, which is the left-hand column. So you can stand on getting results. Now look, people have incredible potential. That's one thing servant leaders believe in more than any other traditional leader. Traditional leaders just think you hire just about anybody, put them in place, and they better do what you tell them to do, right? Well, servant leaders look at somebody, whether they have the highest academic credits or the best performance somewhere else, and they look at what are this person's strengths? How can we help them utilize them even better? And then they work with them to get there. They build people up. They don't beat them up. Now the Shaq, I'm sure you recognize him. He was told early in his basketball career in high school that he was too big and clumsy to play basketball. That's what his coach said to him. Well, you could see that could demoralize any young man if someone's telling them that, because then they don't give him the help to succeed. Well, he came across the college coach at a basketball camp that he was at, and the coach says, "Son, you have tremendous talent and ability. Here's a training program. Take this training program, do it religiously, and you can be great." Well, Shaq did that, and of course the rest is in the history books. He became an NBA All-Star, won the title a number of times, and of course since that time he's gone on to be a successful businessman, and he helps lots of people. The talent was always there. They just needed someone to see it. And when someone did, it ignited his own passion to be the best he could be. And that's what servant leaders do with people. They lead by example, so they talk the walk, but they also walk the talk. There's congruency. You can count on them. There's an honesty and integrity there that goes with it. And when you do that, your team will follow you, and you'll get the results that I'm talking about. Again, check out our book. We have other resources. Check out other resources out there. Give us a thumbs up if you like this, it was helpful. And let me close with this. I have this dream that soars on golden wings. I visualize your achievements and your legacy that sings. I do not know all about your awesome goals or your persistent efforts to raise the bar. I only know you can be the best, a superstar.